In this video we're going to look at symmetry and some of the tools that you can use to demonstrate symmetry to your class. When we open the Cambridge Primary Maths Toolbox, this is our screen. We have our floating toolbar which we can place wherever we like on the screen. I'm going to look into the shape and space toolbar, and I'm going to start by looking at a rectangle. So here's my rectangle. Check that I have the select tool selected so I can move it and resize it. I'm going to make it a bit longer and narrower so that it looks definitely more rectangular than square. Now, if we're talking about looking at line symmetry, I always found that the easiest way to explain it to pupils was to get a piece of paper, a rectangle like this one, and see in how many different ways we can fold it in half so that one half is exactly on top of the other half. And if we do that and make the fold lines, we should find out how many lines of symmetry it's got. So for this shape, we can draw in some lines of symmetry. So I'm going to pick up the pen tool and find line, and a medium-sized line is fine. We'll have colour as black at the moment. We could change it if we wish to. Perhaps we'll go with a blue line. So we can have a blue line. Now, to draw the line, all I do is just pull across the page as you would expect. So I can draw in my line of symmetry. May not be beautifully accurate. If it isn't, just pick it up and move it. So you can just move it across if we want to, so it looks a bit better. To draw in the other line of symmetry, do the same thing again. Pick up the pen tool, pick up the line, and just draw straight across. So there we go. So there are my two lines of symmetry. Quite often we show them as dotted lines. Next I'm going to pick up a square. So we're going to pick up a square, and it's useful if you have squares of paper that the pupils can investigate. And we can investigate the lines of symmetry of a square. Is it the same as a rectangle? Well, no, there's going to be two more. I'm going to pick up my line tool again, because we can fold it also on the diagonals. So let's just draw the diagonal line in just to show it. We can also draw in the other diagonal line. Just pick up the line tool again and draw in the other diagonal. There we go. So this one has got those two lines of symmetry as well as these two, so a total of 4. So a rectangle has two lines of symmetry, two ways in which you can fold it so the halves line up exactly when we fold it, and the square has 4 different ways of doing it. Now we can investigate other shapes in the same way, and if we look at our shape and space toolbox, we'll see a number of shapes that we can put on the screen for the pupils to look at. So for instance, there's a hexagon. If I go on to my next page, I want to investigate looking at how we put grids onto the screen and how we use the block tool in grids. And this is really handy when we're looking at symmetry. First of all, I select my background toolbox. I'm just going to move it up to the middle of the screen, and you can see as I hover over it, it will select the grid, click OK. Now, if I go into the shape and space toolbox, I've got this picture of a dog here, and this is the tool that fills in blocks. So let's see how this works. So I'm going to click on it. Currently the colour selected is yellow. I can change the colour, so there's red. Here, the dark area shows you which part of the square will be shaded. So here we can unshade, here we can completely shade. So if I click, I will get a red square. If I pick up this one, the left hand, the dark part of my square will be shaded. Similarly, that's the right part, bottom, top, etc. So let's have a look at a few of these. So I can fill in different parts of the square with colour. If I make a mistake, if I click on the no colour and click again, the colour will disappear. So I can very easily colour squares, colour part of squares, and remove the colour. If you have been using the colour tool, note that the select tool at the top is no longer selected. So if I want to move anything on my screen, I must click that first. So click that first, and as you can see, I can now move the square. Now let's have a look at my next page. Here I've used the block tool, as you can see, to make lots of different halves of patterns. If I draw in a line, I'm going to use black this time for my line because I've got blue in some of my patterns. So I'm going to change my colour to black, and I'm going to draw in the line of symmetry that I want to use. So it doesn't matter if you're slightly off because you can pull it over. So there's the line of symmetry, and I want the pupils to copy these patterns onto squared paper and then work out what the second half of the pattern is going to be like if it folds in half along this line. And I can draw the line in for all the other patterns as well. This is probably the easiest one to start with. So let's just draw the line in for this one. And what they have to do is draw it out on their paper and then come up to the board, and let's say we want to fill in the yellow part of this pattern. Change the colour to yellow and put in the yellow square. So just pick up the square tool and put in the yellow square. To fill in the blue part of the pattern, same thing. Remember, I want it symmetrical, so it's got to be the same distance and position from that line as the opposite one is. So we have a mirror line down here, our line of symmetry, and then we can complete the rest of the pattern. And I've also drawn a diamond shaped pattern, and under here we've got half of a butterfly. So you can get them to complete the shape to make it symmetrical, draw in the line that you want it symmetrical about, and ask them to fill in the pattern.